Reverse dieting is where you gradually increase your calories, which allows your metabolism to speed up while helping you minimize weight gain. However, there's 7 things I see everyone get wrong about reverse dieting. So today I want to help you clear up this confusion so you know what to expect. Okay, the first thing I see everyone get wrong is they think they shouldn't gain any weight, and hell, some people even think they should lose weight while reverse dieting, and that is just not the case. Now, I understand why you might think this. Unfortunately, social media is a highlight reel. We have coaches trying to sell their own business, and they just love to throw people up on their pages that shows them increasing calories by hundreds and maintaining their weight or even losing weight, but they don't tell the real story here. And honestly, almost every time someone loses weight reverse dieting, and I've had people myself who've gone through the same thing, it's not because the increase in calories caused them to lose weight. It's because they got coaching, they got extra accountability. The higher calories made it more sustainable and easier to hit their plan. So instead of binging and restricting and constantly overshooting their calories, they started being diligent to the plan, which put them into a calorie deficit because they were being accurate with their intake now. But either way, it's very much normal to gain some weight during the process. It should be expected to gain some weight. So it's not about losing weight during the reverse. It's about putting your metabolism into position so then you can finally come back and cut again afterwards and then start seeing results. The second thing everyone gets wrong is they seem to think that you can just keep increasing calories forever and the process will work all the time. No, it's not about increasing your metabolism past what your baseline kind of genetics would tell you. It's about undoing the suppression that's in your metabolism, probably from previous dieting behavior, either because you've been an extreme dieter, crash dieter, yo-yo dieter, or just coming off a regular cut. Your metabolism is going to be suppressed even beyond what would be expected just through weight loss. So the reverse diet is to help get your calories back up to where they should be so that you can maintain your weight on a much higher level of calories and also get your hormones and everything back up to a better place. And I've unfortunately seen this from some clients who have come to me from previous coaches who tried to force them into a certain number of calories and said, you need to get to X calories, which was way beyond what their body could handle. And they just kept forcing the extra calories and forcing the extra calories and just gaining like crazy. And I've seen in some cases people have gained 40 or 50 pounds being forced into a certain number. Yes, you need to be okay with weight gain, but adding excessive unnecessary weight gain is not going to help you. The third thing I see everyone get wrong is they think however many calories you increase during your reverse means that you can then diet on that much more calories when you come back into a fat loss phase. First of all, understand it's not a 1-to-1 equation when you start your fat loss phase. Typically, I say you're going to drop your calories around 20 to 25% from your maintenance calories. But if you think about it that way, if you're going to start your cut with your maintenance calories at 2,000, if you did a 20% decrease, that'd be a 400 calorie decrease. Well, if you added another 200 calories to your reverse and got you up to 2,200, now 20% is 440 calories, not 600. So adding another 100 calories doesn't mean you diet on another 100 calories too. And also keep in mind, even with the percentages and everything, it's not uncommon to have to still get down pretty aggressive. The difference is now your body will actually respond, whereas before it couldn't. The fourth thing everyone gets wrong is they expect to start the reverse diet and hunger is just going to go away completely. And it just usually doesn't work that way, especially when you're just freshly ending a cut. Oftentimes, hunger is actually worse during the reverse diet than it was during your cut. And if you don't expect this, you can get blindsided by it and you feel like something's wrong. So don't be surprised if this happens. And there's a couple reasons for this. One is just the physiological aspect of it. You've finished a diet, you're below your body fat set point, your hunger hormones are off. And for a lack of a better way to explain this, it's almost like you start giving the body more calories and it's just like, yes, finally, I've been starving. Give me more, right? And it just makes you crazy hungry. But also, not even just physiologically speaking, you always have to factor in the mental side of things. And we as humans, we love to make progress. And when you're in a fat loss phase, you're more willing to deal with hunger because you know it's part of the process. You're seeing results anyways. So you're like, you know what? I'll deal with it because I'm getting where I want to be. But now you're done making that progress. Now the goal literally becomes to eat more food. And where your mind goes, your body goes. So you need to be cautious here and make sure you're staying diligent in the early part of the reverse diet. Basically, look at it like it's an extension of your cutting phase and stay on top of things because this way, week after week after week, you're going to be able to keep getting calories up and you'll eventually get them up to a really good place where you want them to be while also maintaining most of your results. Whereas if you're struggling with it and you keep overeating and then coming back again, you're gaining more weight than you want, so you don't want to increase your calories because of that, but then you keep overeating and your target calories aren't getting anywhere, but you just keep gaining and it just turns into a nightmare. So stay diligent and patient here, and in time, the hunger will subside, your calories will get nice and high, you'll have plenty of balance and flexibility, and you'll eventually do much better. But also understand, this is not all the time. This is just in that kind of beginning stage. Later later on down the road, if you do things right, you'll eventually get to a point where your hunger is way better. In fact, one of my favorite feedbacks I get from people is they've been hungry as long as they can remember because of all the dieting they've done. And finally, after a nice long reverse diet, they get to the point where they're full all the time. In fact, one of the best signs I see that you are in a good spot metabolically is that you're so full that it's just like, please, like, don't give me any more calories. I cannot fit any more food and I'm so full. And that can sound impossible. If you've been hungry as long as you can remember, if you've been dieting on and off as long as you can remember, which is causing that hunger, it feels like there's just no way. It's just my genetics. I'm just a hungry person. Maybe that's part of it. A lot of it, though, is just you've never gone through a nice long reverse diet and kept your calories up for a long enough time for your hunger hormones to settle and to get into a good spot hormonally and metabolically. Number 5 kind of goes in line with some of the things I've already talked about, but it deserves its own number. And that's people tend to think the reverse diet process is going to be easier than the cutting process. Now, if we're only talking about physically what you need to do, then yes, the reverse diet is easier. You can do less activity. You can be more flexible with your nutrition. You don't have to be quite so stringent with things. But psychologically speaking, it's often much harder. Again, we love progress, and the reverse diet feels like the opposite of that. And a lot of people fall into the trap of feeling like, well, I'm not going to see progress. In fact, I'm probably going to gain weight anyways, so why pay close attention? What's the point? And then get really sloppy with things and drop their exercise way too low and don't pay close attention to their nutrition. And now they start gaining weight much faster than they should. And I hear all the time, oh, the reverse diet went so poorly. I never should have done it. I gained so much weight. And it was like, no. It wasn't the reverse diet that did it. It's that you didn't follow the plan during the reverse diet. But it's because psychologically, it's much harder to stick to things if you're not physically seeing progress. And the problem that you have, or at least a lot of people have, is they only view progress as fat loss. And that's a mental trap you need to get out of. Progress comes in many forms. And if you think about all the benefits that come from either phase, reverse dieting hands down blows fat loss phases out of the water. The only benefit of fat loss phases is fat loss. That's it. Everything else gets worse. In a reverse, you get more food, more flexibility in your diet. You're eventually going to be less hungry. You're going to have more energy. You're going to get stronger. You're going to perform better. Your mood will be better. You will sleep better. Everything about the reverse process is better. But you see it as going backwards. You need to get out of that mind frame and focus on the positives, which is why even if you're not a huge fan of having a lot of muscle and everything, having specific building phases can actually help with this, because now you understand muscle has weight. If I want more muscle, that scale number will go up. And then as that number creeps up over time, kind of like, okay, I'm building muscle, it's to be expected, this is making progress. Versus, I just don't want to gain weight. Every time that scale goes up, you start freaking out about it, and you're just like a mental mess, and then you panic and you diet too quickly, and then you undo all your progress with your reverse, but it was too soon to diet, and then you have to start over, and it just turns into a nightmare. So enjoy the reverse diet process, but until you get good at it, psychologically, it can actually be harder than a fat loss phase. The 6th thing I see all the time is people think, well, I don't want to gain any weight while I increase my calories. So what I'll do is I'll increase my cardio so that I don't gain that weight. And while that sure will help you not gain any weight, you're not going to do a damn thing for your metabolism if you just increase your activity while also increasing calories. You're just kind of keeping that baseline the same. And then also, what are you going to do if you do come back to cut later and now you're doing all this cardio? You're just trapping yourself. Your cardio should actually probably decrease as you increase calories as well, especially if you have plans to cut again in the future. Now you should be doing some. It's got health benefits and everything. I'm not saying don't do any. Somewhere around maybe an hour or so, give or take a half hour, is plenty reasonable. Just don't work against yourself. The 7th and arguably biggest mistake I see, and almost everyone seems to make this, is they feel like I just need to get my calories up, and then once I do, immediately slash the calories, and that's not going to work. Your body needs time to adapt to the higher calories. And I hear all the time, well, I cut for a year, and then I went on a 3-month reverse diet, and then I went back into my cut again, and it didn't work. Well, of course it didn't work. You spent a whole year cutting and then only gave it 3 months. Your body had no time to adapt to those calories. And the longer you can hold those higher calories, the better your fat loss results are going to be. But the question becomes, how long is long enough to be in a reverse diet till I can start with my cut again? Lucky for you, I got a video you can check out right here. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Otherwise, check that video out next, and I'll see you next time.